this: personal concern. Before anybody have ever an effective ministry, they had to care about people. Peter had that personal concern. If you want to serve in the ministry, you must have personal concern. You must be concerned about souls. Yes, there is a time in which we gather together, but after that we disperse and then we live our lives daily. But it's also true that in the day-to-day living that we have, sometimes we minister and sometimes we also get ministered. Right? So kung nag-minister ka, kami namatyan, dugay-dugay, kamo naman namatyan, ikaw naman ministeran. If you are a believer, personal concern must be found towards us. Na makita na concern kita sa tao. Hindi lamang sa ginuobra ta, kundi sa kabuhi sang tao. And you know what? This is very difficult. Because, you know, when there's plenty of people, it's hard to know people's names one by one. Kaysa ganin, hindi ka mag-greetan, good morning, gilayan buot mo. Di ba? Hindi ikaw naman pang-greet. Para wala kagin may malipatan. Kung hindi ka mag-greetan, ikaw greet good morning. Understand what I mean? In other words, there's a concern. It's not just about you. And many of us that even serve in the ministry with also our concerns. We also have struggle with too. Does anybody here doesn't have any struggle? Wala kita ginagyan. Tanan kita may ginagyan. At kanami kay Peter, no, even though he has facing a lot of problems, and of course, I will tell you what are those things. But at the same time, he continued to be very concerned of how people had to live their lives. The writings of Peter, for example, in the book of 2 Peter 1 verse 12. So I always remind you. This is Peter saying, so I always remind you of these things, even though you know them, and firmly established in the truths you know you have. The book of 2 Peter is the book in which he wrote for saying goodbye. You know that you will be dying. You know that you will be hanged on the cross. And he was saying, you already know this truth. You already know that Jesus was the fulfillment of the prophecy. You already know these things, don't you think? You had been attending church for quite some time. You already know the truth. You already know the life that you have in Jesus. You already know some things about the Bible. But then Peter said, I have to what? Remind you. Always remind you. Not that you do not know. But what? But you are firmly established in the truth that you now have. Even though sometimes we have learned a lot, we have to thank people that remind us always. We had been mature in the faith, we had been a Christian for a long time, but we need people to remind us, just like Peter. He was so concerned that even though they learn, even though they know, he is a man that keeps on reminding. Yapadayon remind. He always, the Bible says, always reminding. Yapadayon sa pag-remind sa ila. Peter cares about them, not only to teach. Some people care only to speak. Speaking is very easy. You get some notes, you study very well, and then you speak, and that's just it. But for Peter, it's not enough. Yes, he is able to speak God's truth, but then he established that they have to learn, and there's a big difference. It's different to speak, and it's different to teach people, one by one, slowly. And this is really fascinating because all of us has different characteristics and different attitudes that we could not put everybody in the same maybe clothes in terms of maturity. Hindi pwede nga parehuson mong tanan nga tao sa simbahan. Do you get what I mean? Some of you had been on the faith for 50 years. And some of you had been 2 days in the faith. Bago pa lang gid believers, hindi mo pwede parehuson ang tanan nga panginahanglanon. Kabudlay sina if you are a man of God, right? Because you have to have an assessment of everybody. Because this is called pastoral relationship. They are not just going to church because they have a pastor, but they are being pastored. Somebody is taking care of them, not just only on a Sunday, but day to day. Somebody is reminding them. Somebody is telling them what to do. And that is the job of Peter. Peter was so concerned about their life. Because one thing is true, despite all we hear, despite all the message we listen unto, we often tend to forget. Dasig sa aton malipat. Meron di tao nga wala gid siya kalipat.
asawa mo lang na yan. Pero kalabanan, kaya kalipat kita. Pag ulang nawali, nalipatan naman. Pag ulang mo nalantaw, nalipatan mo na. Ang para mo ganin, hindi mo makita na nakasangit lang sa ulo mo. Ang yabi sa salakya, galingin ka, hindi mo ito nabutan. You get what I mean? We easily forgotten. That is why, let me tell you, there is no such thing such as over-communication. There is no such thing. Kaliwat-liwat. Nga, so na mga mag-ligahay, di ka kailangan mag-I love you, tagad lang. Be honest. Many of you, kakaon ka na, I love you. Maskwila ka na, I love you. Mapuli ka na, I love you. Nagbaha, I love you, gyapon. So magkasaway na, why nag-I love you. Bahala ka na. Kung naganit ka message, kapila mo kung nagitigan ng asawa ko, dalaman ko na. Sometimes we forget. We thought that we speak again and again, we had already accomplished. No. There's no such thing such as over-communication. We have to always communicate. Liwat nga aman. Sa Bible, gani, ginsulat ang libro sa Deuteronomy. Do you know what Deuteronomy means? It means to say it again. Liwatalang bala. Thus when blessing, ginaya sa kabuhay ang asawa, kaya nga man, ila para bigyan ng bal, liwat.
Balik.
Blessing na ni Lord, totoo na. Ano ginambal nila sa imo? Ang ginambal naman sa ila. Ginaliwat lang nila sa imo. So kung matakan ka na, tani wala ka na lang ng asawa, nga mandala na sa package, utod ko. They are parakletos. They are the helper. They speak again and again and again. And wonderful, somebody remind us. Because we easily forgotten. Kadasig sa aton malipat. That is why we need people like Peter. I pray that all of us become one. We are concerned of people. We don't just concern them attending to church, but we are concerning them of how they live their life daily. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Peter is saying, I always remind you of these things. Not because you don't know them, but I care for you. That is why I pray that we will have genuine concern for one another. And you know what's the best concern that we could give with one another? It's when you don't get anything in return. Tapos magulig kung may kwaon ka ay. Pero namin magulig nga wala ka kwaon. Ang tao na anad nga kung buligan, kinandang may bayan. Pero kinahambal tudlo sa aton sa Bible daliya, bulig lang pala. Hindi na maghulat nga balikan ka. Si Lord niya bahala sa imo. Si Lord niya mabalik sa imo. Ika-isa sa aton mabulig na tuod, tapos picturean taman ginatagan to tubugas, tingin tagan to nakulbaan sa sanctuary eh. You see it? You see now? And more people is like having fun with that because they could earn money with that kind of service. Buligan ang ibang sa tao, buligan man sila kaya aman